right now. Let's have a look. Okay, guys, welcome to a chat with Jane Cortez, or Batman and Robin in the back cave, as we always say. We've got Batman over in the UK, and we've got Robin over here in Melbourne. I've actually gone and got a Nightwing costume. I've been so inspired. But today we have two of the greatest individuals in Australia who care about people, getting the best out of your life and helping others become better. And I cannot speak more highly of these two individuals, two very, very close friends of mine. And I'm so excited to have them on. Cortez, it's an absolute honour to have you and Greg Riley and Michael McNair on our show. And as you can see, I'm excited. I mean, don't have to give me any jelly beans. I mean, or red cordial, because I've got these two guys. Just to give you a bit of a quick rundown, these two fantastic individuals run a business called 5 Dimensions, which I did a course. I was honoured to do a Shadow Warrior course, which is basically looking deep inside you to become better and see what you can do and what's happening within your life that is affecting you at the time, and basically getting tools, basic tools that you can do to change yourself and change your life. And Cortez, as I said, these two guys, I can't speak more highly of them. So I'll let you guys pretty much talk, and I'll go from there.
Yeah. Start by how you first got together, and how the Fifth Dimension program started for yourselves, if you don't mind.
It's probably a
great question.
Yeah.
If you can remember those.
How far back do you want to go?
Taking you back.
Go right into it, Greg. Yeah.
I was brought up Catholic. So yeah. Anyway, I sort of, yeah. It's a bit of I'll make the long story short. So I'll give you a bit of a background about me and where I've come from, right? So yeah, so I was brought up Catholic. The whole thing about, you're a sinner and you've got to repent from day one, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I went through my teens, played a lot of footy, played, very, very good at sport in some areas, and went down that whole thing about what is success, what do you want to be when you grow up, and all that kind of thing. So it was drummed into me that success is about your job and success is about how many women you pull and all that kind of stuff. All that macho bullshit, male shit. So anyway, so then you get in the big bad world. 17, I started working for a bank, one of the big 4 banks here in Melbourne or Australia, in a cadetship, and went through that, and basically had everything. I had the job, I had the whole lot, I had the money, had enough drugs up my nose to poke my stick out in the first 3 to 4 years. So between the ages of about 17 and about 21, there's a bit of a gap there. Partied really hard, but I got to the point where it was meaningless. It really meant nothing. Mm-hmm. You're having these, great times, but you're not having great times, and you may have things materially, but you're hollow inside. So, yes. and so that led me down the path of martial arts, and I'm a very novice martial arts. Michael's a lethal weapon. He'll tell you about his stuff. He's literally got black belts everywhere. So I did meditation, martial arts, trying to find more about that deeper stuff. So I'm going to these meditation places in a full-on suit. Everyone looked at me going, why are you here? But it was really good because I'm this banker that was going to do that. So, and it sort of opened up what I used to do as a child. I used to do astral travel or astral projection when I was a kid, when I was about between 7 and about 10. So and that sort of stopped when I was about a teenager. But that started to reactivate.
Did you know you were doing that at the time? Did you know you were
I thought it was just normal. I thought everyone did it. Right? I realised it wasn't normal. So that stopped when I started puberty and stuff. But and then so started really going into what happens after we die, because the whole Catholic thing about and then my father had bowel cancer when I was 15, and he survived, but it brought up the whole thing about what really happens when you do die. So I went in the whole thing, and then did all the psychic stuff and did training in that area there, and it's all just evolved over time about giving readings for people and going more into that nature of who you truly are, nature of consciousness, nature of self, and just read book after book after book, course after course after course.
Yeah, Greg, I just want to butt in there for a minute. just wanted to say, just you want to check out anyone watching the video now. There's a preview which I put up about you guys being on our show, and I actually put down that you were voted Australia's greatest psychic on Channel 7's The One. So
yeah,
I think I just thought I'd mention that. Yeah, sorry to interrupt there.
That was back in. I was living a double life. I was still working in the bank, and doing, clients on the side and stuff like that, and that. Yeah, so I basically won Australia's best psychic back in 2011. That changed a lot of things, but I've back in about 2008, I really didn't like doing the psychic readings because people were just they wanted to be told what to do. There was never this thing about self-motivation and all that stuff. So I started down the hypnotherapy, therapy side, counselling, all that stuff. And I started from there. So the real passion started back in about 2008 about really finding people and helping people to find their purpose. And so that's where I learned, the hypnotherapy side of things and how the brain works, and which was great because you've been able to blend the psychic stuff, the intuition stuff with that. And then fast forward a number of years, a marriage breakdown, and now found a partner in life, and she's fantastic, got 3 kids. But I was sort of a crossroads with sort of my life, a few years ago, and there's a friend of ours named Craig Harper, who's literally the man. If you ever get a chance to listen to some of his stuff and reach out to him and see what he does, he's on Instagram, Facebook, and that. The guy is literally a god in my eyes. And
what was his name again? Sorry,
Craig Harper.
Craig Harper. Okay.
He's a fitness guru here, Cortez. Actually, you'd love to talk. I'll tell you, we can get him on the show, mate. I'll tell you, it wouldn't be a.
Yeah.
Would be a bet.
The fitness bit's a front.
He's a very smart man. He's just not a fitness guru. He's very smart. So so basically, something, it popped up on my Facebook feed, and I thought, don't know who this guy is. I didn't actually know who Craig was, and so it just popped up, and I thought, I'll have a crack at this. It was a course, and then I didn't realise that how profound that was going to be. It was a 6-week course or 12-week course?
Well, it's meant to be 6 weeks. It started at 6 weeks, yeah.
And that's how Mike and I met. We met through there, and it was through that, and then
started 2018.
Really yeah, so we had a really strong bond from that. On the second week, people found out I did ayahuasca, and that things down another rabbit hole after that one. And I dragged Mike into that world, and he has a look I think from there it's just been a natural evolution of trying to find people where they can find their true happiness, their true joy, and find where. And what we do is really simple. And Michael will speak after this about he's much more versed in the esoteric stuff than me, but in the Western world, we're so conditioned that success is material stuff. Success is what you have, what you own, what your car you drive, the house you got, how you look in front of everybody else. And we got more rates of depression, we're more connected, we got more anxiety, all that kind of stuff because of what we're told is, whatever. And, what we try and do is bring it back to simple things about who are you being and what is success for you, and strip it right back to the real core stuff and it really is as simple as who are you being? Day to day, and what does that look like? And we're pretty straight to the line. There's no fluffy stuff. There's some very tough conversations sometimes, but we help people try and realize it's an inside out kind of experience. We help people connect on the inside, not the external. And once you find that inside part, miracles happen. Your life is never the same once you find that place of that true happiness from inside. And then it's all about who are you being in the moment from moment day. What do you represent? And it's just we've got a great life. It's fantastic to be able to help people find that true place of who they really are, and they're not in a wishy-washy way, but a really strong, committed, deep soul, spiritual connection. And that's why and Mike and I just have a very similar outlook on life, and we're sort of like we're not Batman and Robin. I think we're more like Abbott and Costello, right? Or Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin.
So you're Abbott and Costello.
I'm Dean Martin.
One,
So we play Batman and Robin, mate. They can have Abbott and Costello. This is great.
So long story short-ish, I've sort of tried to make it as quick as possible, but it's been a lot of evolution of stuff. And, we sort of just come around the idea that, we've got so many things we can do and help people. And, we work really well together. And, there's things that I can't do that Michael does. I sit there in awe of what he writes sometimes and think, fuck, I've got a year 12 high school, packing them higher education, right? The stuff that Michael writes is off the planet, and I'm sitting in awe of what he does. And we've got different talents in different areas, but it complements each other so well in what we do. And there's just a passion that it comes from a heartfelt place. So we just want the best for people, and that's sometimes that's a hard conversation to have with people, and just sit down and go, everything you're doing right now is external. None of it's internal. And it's being able to bring people back to, where is true happiness for them? Where is that place of contentment and joy and connectedness, and, having those relationships with people, and being raw and authentic and passionate and driven and purposeful and all that kind of stuff. And it's, and we've picked up things along the way, but, we've got a really good framework now it's called a framework because it flows. There's not a set. It's every single person we deal with, you won't get the same. We will not speak to you the same way. It's not like we're a big thing about we're a done with you program, not a done for you, or it's a online course where you go away and it's self-study or anything like that. Because Michael can speak a bit more about this, but if you look at the statistics for self-study, I think 90% of people who do self-study don't finish the course, and I think it's around 50-60% don't even start the course. So we do a lot of the done with you stuff, and we help you build that connection. We help you build that purpose, that soul, that real strong authentic self that has deep connection with people, deep connection with yourself, and you have real joy and real happiness and access to consciousness and flow states and ecstasy, and and still have ups and downs and bads and goods, and but to be able to deal with life and understand that life and we get some really weird conversations that reality is exactly what you make it. It's all about what you think.
100%.
And when you start down that line, people kind of go, well, no, dude, this is about you. All this stuff is about your thinking about it. And people, I'm surprised. We would change the world if we can get education in the children at 13, 14, 15, 16 about how the brain really works.
100%.
But we jam them full of shit.
Well, there's a big thing there. Sorry, Greg, to cut you off again. Sorry, the big thing I was going to say, you missed out one big word that I reckon is very important that I got out of you too: awareness, absolute awareness.
Yeah.
Oh, biggest word you can have. It was just amazing. The awareness, having conscious awareness was just phenomenal.
You know what? Fail, fuck up, screw up.
And you can swear all you want in this thing because he's a king swearer, so am I. So yeah.
Right, but it's one of those things like we don't try and be your Tony Robbins where it's all rah rah, we're about authentic living, that you're going to have bad times and sad times. It's about what you do about it. It's about here's your growth, how you're going to go through this. But I've talked enough. Michael, I can listen to you all day. We got time, don't worry.
Well, welcome to my world. I love it. Yeah, I think Greg's been very humble. I think a bit like you, Jay, Greg had such a profound impact on my life at precisely the right time, which is, of course, exactly the way it happens, because there is no other way.
We love it.
That's it. And so if I
blame because I did take him down the psychedelic realm. He's never going to forgive me for that. But
we're going to talk about the bikes here.
We'll come back to that. Because we'll tell the whole story, because it unlocked doors and truths for me that were profound. And as those doors opened, it became obvious to me that that was a necessary part of my journey, and it was really taking me down a path that I knew intimately was there, but I'd been avoiding. It's kind of that subconscious, unconscious, conscious development that you have to go through to really wake up. So if I go back, a little bit like Greg, I've got memories of being, what people would call spiritual or connected to other experiences as a kid, and I'd forgotten about those. I had quite a happy childhood, and late or midway through secondary schooling, had a couple of bad experiences where, in simple terms, I was at an all-boys school and got accused of being gay, and became the brunt of a lot of people's jokes, and life got pretty hard pretty quick. So I went into a real shell for a few years, and after I left school, I disconnected from that life, and I kind of needed to, because being bullied and beat up and all that sort of stuff is not fun. And as a vulnerable young male, who was a very sporty, athletic kid and very competitive, it was pretty challenging. So I went to uni, was pretty lost, pulled out of that the first time around. And took up martial arts somewhere around that time, and was really angry. So, I'd set out on this journey of revenge. Little did I know, sort of 10 or 15 years later of training, I developed quite a spiritual connection through that. So it started out as a journey of aggression, and got quite good at it, and, got all the black belts and all that sort of good stuff. But what I took away from it was an awareness of myself that wasn't so much a spiritual development, but it was kind of like laying the groundwork for what was to come. So in the background, a bit like Greg, I went to a Catholic school, grew up that way, and was part of the church community. What was really healing for me, at least at the time, was I was about late 19, maybe 20. I met this with this girl who was gay, and she was like a soulmate. So she was somebody that I guess took all of those shadow aspects and all that drama that I'd taken on through school, and actually showed me a world that she was part of that was really quite joyful and connected and loving. And all the stuff that I'd probably not allowed myself to be. That was really, really powerful. And out of that, strangely enough, I ended up connecting to a group of Pentecostal Christians, and got baptized as a born again Christian in what's called the Narooma River here when I was, maybe 19 or 20, which, at the time, I guess I was looking for answers. I'd been through a lot of hurt. These people were beautiful. They were, really loving, caring people, and felt a connection to what in that world we called the Holy Spirit, or God, or whatever you want to call it. And it was really quite profound and beautiful. I guess I was still quite spiritually naive and young and vulnerable. So, I was probably at a place where I jumped at anything that I thought was going to take me to that place where I just felt better, without the maturity and the wisdom to really process a lot of what had gone on leading up to that point. Anyway, shortly after that, I was really fortunate. I met my wife, who I'm still married to, 22 years later. She's just the most beautiful human being, a rock. We've had 3 kids together. They're grown up, and despite everything that's gone on, she's been the one that's there holding the fort while I go through this crazy journey of remembering who I am. And probably scratches her head most days thinking, what the hell is this going on? So anyway, we'll fast forward a bit, because there's some crazy stuff that happened in between. I feel like my life's been one big synchronicity, and maybe a lot of people feel that way, but it's kind of cool. So I got to this point where in 2016 I lost my dad to cancer. 2017 I took up road cycling as a kind of a way. He did it when he was younger, and I wanted to basically just raise money for cancer and send him off. It was kind of like my parting remembrance, if you like. Got most of the way through the year and had a pretty severe accident, nearly died. towards the end of the year in September. So I fractured my femur and had some pretty nasty sort of complications with that. Ended up in hospital, and then I was basically at home for months learning how to walk again. And I got myself into a really dark place, because when you can't do anything except lay still and rely on everybody around you, you have a lot of time to work with your shadow, let's say. So what came of that is, without any, I guess I kind of went through a stage where I had a few years of not having the spiritual guides or the connection to meaningful relationships, because I'd got caught up in career and kicking goals. I've always been a helpful sort of person. I've been generous with my time. I coached junior football and basketball for the best part of 20 years. But all of these things that I did, I filled up every moment of my life with stuff, except for probably what I needed, which was to spend time working on myself to establish an identity and a truth and an authenticity that was going to take me to a place where I could show up best for everybody. That bit came a little bit later. So spending all that time trying to recover. I got a big titanium rod put in the leg and all that nasty stuff. Wow. It was the start of 2018. I caught up. I'd known Craig, who Greg mentioned, for quite some time. And I rang him and I said, "Hey, mate, I saw you've got this course advertised. This isn't one of those weight loss course things, is it?" And he just said, "No." And he just said, "No, mate, you need to come." That's it. That's all he said. And because at this time I was still in bed. I wasn't walking. I wasn't even sure how I was going to get there, because I probably wasn't going to be driving for a while. Anyway, so Greg might even remember that the first night of this first course, I've got my sticks for walking, and I managed to drag myself up the stairs, and I sat up in the back corner and I told a bit of a story, and I was, I was in a bad place. Yeah, I probably didn't want to be around. And I can't remember if it was the first week or the second week that, Greg, you told your story, but it touched. So yes, so it touched something. And when he spoke of his experience with ayahuasca, I'd been pretty straight straighty 180 my whole life.
You had. You've done nothing compared to me.
I did. I knew nothing. So my compass had taken me in a different direction up to that point.
Oh my God.
No word of a lie. This was the tipping point, and my life since then has been a roller coaster of insanity. So it was, I reckon, the next day or within a couple of days, I had to go. It was about a week or two later. I had to catch a plane for work to Sydney, and out of nowhere I'm sitting next to this lady, and she starts telling me this story about an ayahuasca journey. I'd never heard of the word. I had to go and Google to even work out how to spell it. So anyway, so then and within a couple of days I was catching up with a couple of mates, and we went and saw this movie, and this other some random lady, she starts telling me about it. I'm like, oh my God, this is insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then I get curious.
And so it starts.
I've always been curious. Yeah. And this is where the rabbit hole journey begins. Mm-hmm. So start looking it up, and the first thing you learn is that when you're called, you're called. You know. And I kind of knew. So then, Greg and I, by this time, we'd done a few weeks of the course and had a couple of conversations. Probably hadn't really connected that much, but enough to get to know each other. And then I think it was about July of that year, there was a tea ceremony retreat, we'll call it, that I had the opportunity to attend, and it was the most transformative, powerful experience of my life by far. So I think
would you like to talk about a little bit about what happened, or
look, I'll give you just a brief bit. So leading up to it, I had actually done a bit of research, and Greg had sort of coached me a little bit along and gave me a bit of an idea of what to expect respect without scaring the pants off me. But you know what? It actually all felt right. There was no I did the work. So I prepared myself physically, mentally. I spent a lot of time meditating and setting intention. Ate perfectly, really prepared my body and my mind. And it was a profound experience. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a fair bit of purging in there where you clear some stuff. And my purging came mostly through the bottom half, not the top half. So that was pretty awkward. But what came from it was one of my intentions was I wanted to, because you got to remember at this point I was still pretty down. I hadn't really physically fully healed. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I was still in a pretty yuck place because I kind of hadn't worked out what my life was all about, and I kind of wondered meaning, purpose, all that sort of stuff. And we can get into that later in the show. But I had this incredible experience where I relived all the joyous moments of my childhood in perfect clarity. It was as real as you and I sitting here talking now. It was just the most extraordinary experience. It was like the greatest gift you could ask for. It was like a download of happiness.
Yeah.
And then from there, it kind of just escalated into more and more powerful, deep spiritual things, which culminated. The only way I can describe it is because words don't do it justice, but I became one with the source.
Okay.
And it was an extraordinary experience where basically I dissolved into everything that is, and you get this conscious awareness of everything. The only way you can describe it is it's perfect, it's infinite, and it's eternal. And that was the start, and I guess from there we did a few good debrief sessions out, and that was a beautiful night too, Greg. I don't know if you remember, it was a full moon. We sat out and looked at the stars for hours and just basically I
like how you emphasise full moon.
Became one with the universe.
That's amazing, honestly.
It was really cool. And so I guess fast forward, since then I keep getting on my bike and I keep having bad injuries.
Bugger.
So I've had in between then I had some time off with a broken neck and a broken spine and
bloody hell, Michael.
A fractured pelvis.
Give up on that one.
So he's giving up the road bike as a plan anyway.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually looking at it. It's just in front of me on the other side of the computer. But in between that, there's been some extraordinary spiritual growth. And, you know, I mean, I'm so grateful for Greg's friendship and the opportunity that we have to work with people like Jay and others where we basically help people rewrite their future, rewrite their present, and put a different lens on their past so that they can show up and be their best selves. I mean, we have a podcast together that we call Unlocking the Secrets to Human Potential, but it's really
Could you send me that?
Showing people.
Could you send me that information? If you don't, sorry to cut you off. Could you send that information to the group chat so we can chuck it on so everyone can have a listen to it too? Sorry to cut you off there, mate.
Yeah. No, not at all. And to get back to the point you raised earlier, I mean, you basically said my two favourite words, conscious awareness. So, you know, I've taken the time to listen to quite a lot of Ram Dass over the last couple of years, and I think he just sums it up beautifully that, you know, when you're in a state of loving awareness, you invite a different energy into your life. And through that, you connect differently with people, you connect differently with yourself. Yeah, and my big thing is trying to understand who I am is about, you know, seeing myself through my eyes, through your eyes, and unpacking who I am relative to everything. And the more I come to an authentic truth about that, the better I can, you know, support myself and those around me.
So I'll segue into, I might as well talk about the shadow work that I went through. I'll segue into that, and then Cortez can butt in with some of the stuff. Just to give you a bit of a background, Cortez and I met basically through the full-time purse, but his opinion on life and what you should do is absolutely fantastic. The way he just says, he's got a he's got a saying, cut them off. Basically, negativity, just cut it off. But basically the way we came in was a lot of people know, yeah, okay, I'll go and cut someone off, but they don't know the journey you go through to actually get through that. And that's what Michael was saying. So, and then Cortez and I got into that, into there. I've done the journey. And I sent him the shadow work and all that. So both of us coming together as the pillars. So I'm going to segue into that shadow work, and you could just basically talk as you want to talk, guys. What I said, the amount of work that I did with the shadow, looking at how I was inside and how I've changed and what I've done. I'll leave it to you to go from there. Where do you see yourself helping people with regards to your 5 dimensions business in some ways, but also just to help people?
So let's just say that the shadow part's one aspect of the whole 5D stuff, right? So it's a small part of the whole. And when we talk about, we sort of come up with a name, but it was never really about the shadow. There's parts, aspects of it you're addressing the shadow, but we tend to address the holistic part, and it's a bit of a marketing, and Michael and I have very strong conversations about Michael's background marketing, right? I guess just sorry to cut you off there, but just with regards to the shadow, I started with the shadow and then I expanded out, so I do understand the whole holistic. The whole holistic thing. So so I want to pull you up on there. You may have started with the shadow, but you had a lot of light around you because go into the shadow. So to access the shadow, you need a lot of light. Yeah. So you need to actually have a lot of the light to access the what we call the negativity or the bad part. But where Mike and I come from, there is no negative, there is no bad, there actually is no shadow. It's just duality in life. It's just the universe is made up of positive, negative, hot and cold, all that kind of stuff, right? The shadow is not the negative, and so it's it was put together because that's how we sort of marketed it out to that point. And it's a lot of stuff's based on Maslow's hierarchy or the hero's journey and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of people do that kind of stuff, right? But where we're different is that there's a whole spiritual aspect to it. Focus forward. We focus on solutions. We focus on moving you guys forward and not spending all the time talking about the past and over again and who's done this to you and who's done that
practical.
To you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and stripping it back to this is your reality. Talk about reality, and we said before about it's really your thoughts. So whatever happens to you life is not what happens to you. Your reality is based on what you think about what happens to you. Mm-hmm. Right. And when people start to understand that, because a lot of people still think life's really about what's happening to them externally, and
it's all inside.
And it's all inside, but 90% of people don't know that.
I know. It's because they're not taught that. If we were taught that from a very young age, then I think a lot of people will be striving to become their true, authentic selves and actually living a life that's more fulfilling to them. But it's they forget that they literally create reality from the inside out. And when your external is crumbling down around you and you're looking at that, then you have that emotional reaction to it and just create more. So it's hard to disconnect from that, but that's why we are here, guys. It's like you said, to remember to remind people.
And we address the shadow with complete compassion and reverence and love and respect, and we don't shame it. There's no judgment. There's no guilt. I've got guys in my clinic who kill people, right? Mm-hmm. And at least they're showing up to try and fix their lives.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the difference.
And so you got to really it's all about love. It's all about heartfelt space. So we get people out of this space into this space, because that's how you live life. When you live life from abundance, because there is no limitations in life. Limitations are an external thing we put around ourselves based on our upbringing, right? All the limitations are there because of what we think about what we can't do, right? So we strip that back as well too. We Michael and I say we don't create miracles. Happen when we start to help work with people, and we don't do a lot, right? People come through our program, we actually don't do a lot. Mm-hmm. And Steve can sort of just referenced how some of the stuff was just freelance, right? There is no week one. Well, there is the week one, week two, when talk about this and framework, when you got to get through here and go through this. We flow, you know, but we're trying to create this place of, you know, connectedness and consciousness and this place where you really feel this honest connection with yourself. And when you tap into that place, you know, literally miracles happen instantaneously, right? They just, life changes completely. And you see, you know, life from a different lens, you know.
And you actually feel the energy inside of you.
Exactly. But you feel alive.
And you feel alive. And you feel that void. It's like that void that you're searching for externally becomes filled with the love and energy force. And then and when you feel like that, you don't need the external things to feel that anymore, because you already feel like that. And I think that's what a lot of people are searching for. Is that
I've got to jump in. Yeah. So if you look closely at our logo.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll give it a good plug.
Right. So exactly what you just said. So there's 5 components. So 5 dimensions, 5 components. On the outside is kind of, you know, body, mind, spirit. The centerpiece is about the void. It's about where everything exists and everything exists. And exactly to the point that you were just making, that it's on the inside. So it's about reconnecting with that, you know, that authentic truth. And once you tap into that space and that energy, anything's possible.
That's it.
Explain the 5D. Explain 5 dimensions.
So that was a bit of a...
Here we go. Here's the test.
Yeah,
let's go.
It's a pretty. So that there's kind of the way that we explain it as part of our, you know, branding and messaging, because that's what people can relate to. Where it come from is so sort of the insights and the downloads came out of that retreat that I was telling you about, where it was like it's almost like a sacred geometry. It's like a piece of intelligence that's come to us as a way of communicating with people, a way of evaluating their life and their identity and their mission and their purpose and you know their truth through a practical lens. Because what we don't want to be is caught up in the woo-woo, and I got lost in that for a while. And I think what was important was to come back and be able to bring these deep messages to a way that helped people live now better. So where we got to, because the things that come through are the 5 senses. You've got the points of the compass, the platonic solids, that, you know, the building blocks of the universe effectively we can relate to through where this logo comes from. But what we basically do is we work through the different dimensions in a way that helps people do an audit on who they are and how they live. So, you know, you've got your physical space, which is your body and your nutrition. And so, you know, the things that you take in, the way that you nourish your body with movement. You've got your psychological, so your mind space. Well, what are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you learning? What's your thinking patterns? You know, Greg alluded to the brain before, so being able to put a lens on that. You know, you've got your social space, which is your connections. So life's all about relationships. This is one of Greg's specialties. It's understanding what your connections are and how they're adding value to your life, how you're adding value to others, and how they change over time, what control you have, which ones you're dependent on, what you're attached to, all that sort of stuff. And then you get into a couple of more interesting ones. Wealth, which what people typically think of as financial. I think of wealth in terms of, you know, lack or abundance. So it can be any dimension, but measured by how you're doing in it relative to how you think you should be doing it. How much of your potential are you utilising? And what's the opportunity for you to do different, do better? And then the one that, you know, I really love spending time with and exploring, and that's the spiritual space. So that's that, you know, for me, it's that sense of the truth of who we are. So, and that's really what we try to relate our work back to, is those different dimensions. And we've got all those underpinning elements that we were talking about before. So there's some of the, you know, mystical ancient knowledge, if you want to call it, that we can relate it to. But but bringing it back to a practical day-to-day exercise that helps you live an authentic life where you feel meaningful, where you feel like you're living with a purpose, where you're contributing to yourself and your society to make both better. And most people, if they do that, they feel all right and they go okay, and they live a pretty healthy, happy life.
What about the?
We have a very, very simple A to
B
model, right? So we have a very, very simple 3-step process, right? And where a lot of people lack is there's so much content overload, and there's so many things of, there's extra giveaways and all that kind of stuff. We actually realize that the biggest issue people have is time. They don't have time to sit there and do training. So we've made our stuff very, very, very simple. And it's a step A to step B. And it's a 3-step process, which phase 1, insights, phase 2, alchemy, phase 3, wisdom, right? A to B, or A, B to C.
Yeah.
And, we make it very, very simple because people just don't have time to sit there and do 2-3 hours a day and do trainings and listen to this and listen to podcasts, and it's hectic enough as it is. So we've actually worked around this stuff because we worked in corporate work, and I know the 60-hour weeks we used to do in that arena. You just don't have time to sit there and do more self-help and read books and do this. It's like, we go, okay, how do we strip it back to make people change quickly with great foundations and make rapid, immediate change? And we do that through our 3-step process, which is really it's really profound. So, and part of that 3-step process is what Steve said before, is that it's all about, part of it was the shadow aspect, and that's one aspect of it, is that the insight part. Is part of that is to go down to the parts you might be ashamed of, the parts that well, I did this wrong and did that wrong, but the reality is life happened exactly the way it should have happened, and you are exactly where you are right now. Accept it, now move on and create what you want to create. And that's the biggest powerful thing, is people come and sit there and go, I'm so glad you're not judging me. It's like, I don't give a shit what you've done previously. All I care about is what you do now.
That's the big thing, Greg.
Right?
That's the big thing in the course. You made us feel safe, okay? Number one, because there's bloody judgment everywhere, let's be honest. People are scared of judgment because they're bloody sick of it. They go, I know I am. I was bloody sick of it. But then you create a space where you can tell me, go, listen, mate, pull your bloody head in, but you're coming from a place of love. And the second thing I want to put out to you is, and I think Cortez and I talked about it, and I got it from Mr. McNair up there, you bloody have a choice in life. We make choices all the way through our lives, but when it comes to looking after ourselves and making a decision, we don't really realise. I know I didn't realise I had a bloody choice to go left or right. And until you actually made aware of it,
I think it's very important, like you said, Jay, to actually feel safe.
Just excuse me, I was going to get get my power supply. Just 1 second.
No worries. I think me and Jay did touch on that, and it's very important to be able to be in the vicinity of someone, to be able to tell them the stuff that you don't really even tell yourself, to be honest with you. So you need that safe space and that person you can trust energetically, because I know you feel if this is the right person who I can express myself to without judgment. That's the big word. Is a lot of people feel judged.
So here's the thing, is that it's a skill set to be able to do that, and that's where Mike and I probably got a gift where a lot of people don't, is that we listen. And it's not just listening, it's listening with every cell in our bodies. And people can pick up on that, and they're going, this guy's really listening to me. And this guy's really getting me. Yeah, exactly.
Great word. That's exactly what it is.
No thought in your mind, just present with them, and they feel that. And that's the difference. That's the difference. A lot of physiotherapists and psychotherapists, and that's what they need. A lot more of, you see, is that's to hold space for their clients, so that their clients can feel heard, instead of, because when you speak to someone and you can hear their mind going to what they're about to say back. They're not actually present and listening. So,
and here's the thing, right? You'll see them writing notes and all that kind of stuff. You'll see Michael and I, even though I'm holding a pen, it's just for dealing with, but I never take notes, never ever. And I know when I was learning hypnotherapy, they give you a script and say, you got to read the script now. And it's like, well, as soon as you start reading a script, you're not present, right? So basically, we were taught very early on that you have to have that presence in that heartfelt space. You have to be interested. You have to really want to have that heart-to-heart connection with somebody, right? So without that, you're nothing. Literally, I'm just
gonna get my daughter out of there 1 second. Sorry.
it's like having a puppy, isn't it? We'll see this in
my house.
Again, I was just going to say, when we get to the end of the show, this is inspired by obviously starting what we did. I've got a stack of audio books. I mean, I don't read. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what it is. I go to sleep, but the amount of books I've read since we've done the course is amazing. Like I'm reading one at the moment. I think I spoke to Michael about No More Mr. Nice Guys, talking about the nice guy syndrome, about how he put up with stuff. But again, it's working on the internal. That's just the way you've been brought up, and then all the programming and all those things, not having a choice and actually being stepped on a little bit more. You don't have that intestinal fortitude to actually speak up, because that's what you do.
We even come back in the course and look, we're controversial in some of the stuff we do. We're not everyone's cup of tea, and I really promote. We've lost the masculine. We've really lost the masculine in the world, and it's to rebirth the masculine in a way, which is in a really strong space, but a protective space. And it's really hard to do these days because you've got all this equal opportunity where you've got females trying to take on masculine roles and then realizing that there's a disconnect as well too. So we do say some things that are really offensive to some people, especially if they're saying, well, women can do what men do. And it's like, well, no, you can't, right? There is masculine and feminine roles, and especially in relationships, you need to have polarity as well too. Otherwise, you can't have two masculines and two feminines in a relationship. Otherwise, it falls apart completely. 100%,
right? I've been there.
So you need to have this. And again, we're not for everybody, but the ones who do work with us, it is literally, life-changing, like you've never had before. You can go to places that, wow, does this really exist? And we do it, there's a lot of stuff. Mike and I have done a buckload of psychedelics, but there's places you can go to without any of that stuff. Absolutely, you can.
But you give it the truth, Greg. I mean, when we went in there, we walked in there going, right, this is what we're going to do for it. This is our course. This is what we're doing. I'm talking shadow work again, I guess, but obviously there's been got more of it, but it did go further, obviously. But I mean, you came in and say, right, this is what it is, and you had to come in with an open mind and be honest. And I mean, I remember the time you told me about. I used to get crap shits about the internet, but then I remember one day I go, what? It's not the bloody internet.
That was a good lesson for you, that one.
I remember you telling me that, Jay. Jay was able to pop at the
internet. We had to hold the mirror up that night.
But then Greg pulled me up and goes, hey, it's not the bloody internet, mate. Have a look deeper what's going on. And I found out what was going on. And I'm a much better person for it, and working out conflict. If you want to call it conflict, if you want to, whatever it may, call it conflict, but definitely not as an angry person. I mean, I can understand that. I know I've calmed down. I've even calmed down a bit more because of what I've done. So I have to thank you for that one. It was a major moment.
But we've also, and this is us being completely honest. We had one guy in the group who didn't last more than 3 weeks, and I know I had a couple of conversations with him. Michael's had a couple of conversations because we called his bullshit, right? And he didn't want to do the work, and he just bugged out. And you're going to get that as well too. And we're completely honest with that. Is that if you're not going to put the time and effort in, then you're wasting our time as well too. So we're sometimes, as heartfelt as we are, sometimes you got to give a little bit of tough love to say, listen, I don't think you're ready for this.
Go back. Decisions still have consequences, don't they?
Correct.
And it doesn't matter what it is. There's going to be an outcome attached to how you put your energy in.
I think a lot
it's
of people.
So funny.
Sorry, go on.
I'll say the way that Michael and I work, when you do say it's like Abbott and Costello and Dean Martin and Jerry it's really, if you see us work, it's really an energy that's happening and flowing between each other. But Michael's so gentle and so soft and so amazingly,
we're like
calm
yin and,
and gentle.
But
You're the opposite.
I'm going to do what I don't normally do. I'm going to butt in on you because a couple of minutes ago, Greg was talking about rebirth, and this isn't planned. I don't know if you can read that. That's the book I'm reading.
Oh, there you go.
Mate, the butterfly and the fire phoenix, mate. Here we go.
And if you spend enough time with us, that happens a lot.
There's the card on the fire phoenix.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Straight up rebirth.
That's it. And that's what we're about.
Yeah. So I mean, we're just about people reconnecting with their hearts and trying to find what happiness really is. And happiness is a bit of a wanky word, right? But trying to find that place of contentment and joy and flow and ecstasy and bliss, but also sadness and despair and anger and anxiety and the whole human experience, right? To embrace the whole human experience. About, don't try and be up all the time. If you want to be down, go there. Absolutely go there with every part of your whole soul and feel that despair and sadness, because there's something in there for you.
Can you see where I'm going with that, Cortez? Like that's a safe spot. Not many people would do this. This is the thing, and people can't cope. I don't think a lot of people can't cope when Greg and Michael say it's okay to be this way, because people are bloody drama queens or drama kings or whatever.
Because what we don't tolerate, Jay, is we push back on people when they spend so much time in their unconscious self. If they go into an unconscious space and there's what their body and what their words are saying is different to what their energy is telling us, that's when we'll pull you up.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of the light community are scared to go and go to that depth within themselves, because it's not nice sometimes. You have to sit with all your traumas, all your past issues.
But that's the beautiful experience.
That is the beautiful experience, Michael. And
correct.
You're conditioned to believe it's not, you see. And once you do sit there with your shadow self, if you want to call it that, and you just feel what you've been suppressing for however long it is, and the thing is, you have to embody those feelings for you to heal anyway. So you might as well just go for it. Embody what you need to embody. Like Michael said, sit with it with every cell of your body, and just allow it to work itself through you, because eventually it's going to leave.
Does that counts as flow, doesn't it? Let's call flow. I mean, you guys said the same thing. Go with the flow,
But it's that relative experience. And Greg talked about polarity, and it's understanding that life is those ups and downs. And the gift that we've been given is this reality, this presence that we're in now. And it's a multitude of all of those different emotions and feelings. But what we can do is to put people and an environment around us that gives us that container to experience it fully. That's when you're living.
Can I segue?
I will tell you.
Sorry, keep going. Sorry.
I was going to say, I will tell you a funny story about some of the stuff, because and we sort of start with, as Michael said, we do start with the very three-dimensional world. So most of the clients we do work, we do work with some clients that come in at a high consciousness level straight away, and that's just a different light. But a lot of people we do see come in at that base level, right, where it's a really physical thing. So we sort of work on the fact, okay, let's get your body right, let's get your thought patterns right, let's help you understand the mind, the brain, how it works. It's here to keep you safe, subconscious mind, conscious mind, unconscious mind, super conscious, all that kind of stuff. Talking about habits, and it's a very, a lot of educational stuff, right? But then once we go to that three-dimensional model and people start making changes, and this is what I said to a mate of mine, a guy I coached, he went through all that stuff, went through, 6 weeks, 7 weeks of it. And I said, all right, rock up next week and you're going to be surprised at what I say. So he rocked up and I said, all right, now everything I've taught you over the last 6-7 weeks, and he's had, he's in his identity of who he is, and I am this and I am that. I said, I've just lied to you for the last 7 weeks.
Why?
You are none of that. You are none of that, right? Let me tell you who you truly are. And we went down this whole rabbit hole with him about who he truly is, about a spiritual being.
Yeah.
Right? He had to do the labeling first about the I am identity, the three-dimensional egocentric identity. Yeah. I am a man, I'm this, I'm a good father, I'm a good partner, and then I went, I'm going to destroy it all. I'm going to burn it to the ground because that's not who you are. And then we worked on the fact of who he truly was, and his heart opened up and he bawled his eyes out for the whole session. And he just went, I've just got places of joy I didn't realize I had.
Yeah.
And he goes, I came home that night and you just destroyed everything, but you rebuilt, but I'm more than what I thought I was. And that's the funny thing, is that we work on this, depending on who you are. A lot of people start in that three-dimensional world where we get you through just
the material world
from A to B. Yeah. Right? Get you working, get you in the place where you're functioning again. And then we go, okay, once you're functioning well, we go, okay, right, let's destroy it all.
That's just like a spiritual awakening process in itself.
But you have to do that. And that's the thing. And that's, you have to realize you can't just go from here and be in a really depressive state and have a spiritual awakening. You need to rebuild these constructs.
Yes.
And then once you get to the point where you're okay with who you are, and it's like, I'm really happy with my identity, I'm happy at work, I'm a happy, father and son and brother and all that kind of stuff. And you've got this, this three-dimensional, body image thing where you're really connected to that. Then you can go, okay, right, and I can destroy it.
Yeah. That's why I think that your name, Fifth Dimension, is so good, because it literally is what's going on in the world now. You see, it's people trying to strive for that 5D consciousness, that way of thinking and living in itself, and trying to introduce that into the 3D world, so to speak. Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people are struggling with more and more.
Yeah. So for me, it's just heart-based living. It really is. It's just heart-based, and heart-based is all the parts of the human experience. And like, I get a bit frustrated with people who just go and push this whole spiritual woo-woo stuff about you're trying to be this spiritual being. You don't come here to be a spiritual being. You come here to live in a physical being, to have a spiritual connection and have that awareness of that.
Yeah, there's a good one.
Live all that stuff, right? But too many people are trying to escape the body. They're trying to destroy the ego. They're trying to escape the ego. It's like ego death. It's like, no, you need that. And the reason why you come in
that's the experience.
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole thing, right? Yeah. So the fun starts when you get in that place. Yeah.
And you get lost, Greg, because you just don't know. As we said at the start, we're not sort of conditioned or not even educated in that to be where we are. And I mean, you say about the ego. The ego is a huge thing. I mean, I was always saying you're controlled by your ego, but then you got to have an ego too. You know what I mean? And we're always saying ego's a dirty word. That's a Skyhook song, 80s, all this stuff. Anyway, but you say the ego, but then exactly what you said, we're learning about our ego and what we're doing, how we can utilize it in ourselves to become a better self.
It's all about reconditioning. A lot of it's,
and a lot of it's cultural. So one of the things that the Indigenous peoples did that was so beautiful was storytelling through music and through word and experience. They passed on these beautiful stories about creation and relationships and evolution and all of the different dynamics of what we are and how we built and work together. We've been caught up in industrial revolutions and all of this sort of materialistic consumption model in the Western world. So a lot of that has been lost.
I think they're trying to get rid
the rites of passage are different.
I think in Australia they're trying to get rid of a lot of the Native Americans' history and stuff like that, aren't they?
Yeah, well, in America they're trying to do that because, as I said, getting back to the connection, losing connection even with the Native American and the Native Americans and their connection to the earth and connection to the animals and the way that the animals and have helped them, and they've got their own, regarding medicine, animal medicine that they'd use to heal. They've lost that
same
connection
for Australia as well.
Way. But also,
there's lots of challenges for sure. But what we've got to do is not get caught up in all the negativity. We've got a voice. Life is really absolutes. So you've got to work with what you know and speak your truth. So whatever that is, and we all have to learn to live with each other's truth. That's how you build a community.
That's it.
That's what we're missing, isn't it? Really?
You look about. We talked before about what's real and what's reality. I don't see what a lot of people see. I see so much love, so much compassion. I see so many people rising right now. I see a renaissance in plant medicine. Thank God for that stuff.
Same.
There's a renaissance in, going deeper into places. Like you've got some real changes happening, and my reality is different from a lot of people. And I don't see a lot of things and there's a lot of negativity around. I just don't see that in a lot of places. I see a lot of growth and a lot of
But there's
change.
your choice, Greg. That's your choice, mate.
But also, people are too, the world's 6 billion or 8 billion years old, right? The one constant with life, it changes.
That's it.
We're so attached to our body, right? We're so attached to this life. The reality is it's transient. We've had many more before, we have many more afterwards. The one thing with life, everything's on through this earth, it's always changed. There's always been eras of change and upheaval and all that kind of stuff. We're so fearful of change of our life, The one constant is shit's gonna happen. And COVID's, shit's gonna happen, right? A lot of changes coming through this, but I just see a whole different future coming for people. If you want to focus on the negative, people go for your life, but it's not what I see.
Can I throw I'll throw a curve around, not really a curveball, but we looked at the male species and stuff, and we've had this issue, obviously, with the evolution, equality and all that, and everyone getting messed up with regards to roles. Equality, everyone should love each other as far as I'm concerned. That's the way it is. It doesn't really matter what happens, but we've always talked about the way it's come out back in the 60s, and so it was very male dominated, but you can see why certain things were completed by, women were getting oppressed. That's absolutely true and correct. I've seen that, but it's sort of gone the other way, sort of thing, and this is where a lot of people don't see. You see it all the time. I see it all the time.
But remember, mate, it's different. It's different in different parts of the world.
Yeah, that's right.
So your experience is the narrative that you've been fed and exposed to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. But we're just looking at that one. Just I guess we're looking at empowering everyone and just and getting males to understand what they really can do. If you get where I'm going.
You're also going to understand everything's working perfectly as it always should have, right? The universe is working exactly as it should, right?
Yeah.
And it's all about experience. It's all about knowing itself through different experiences, right? So, all those things that happened in the past, they're all for, consciousness to know itself, or source to know itself. It needs to know through different things, and it will evolve in different ways, and will evolve again. And some people think AI is going to take over. We're going to plug a USB in our head and away we go, and whatever. But, it's life will evolve. Possibility, right?
Absolutely.
But, and yes, there are.
But that's what the universe is.
Western world. Yeah, it's changed. Everything's just an experience. We are so attached to ourselves. We are so attached to our own little world and who we are, and once people wake up to the fact that it's not who we are, and we're just renting a body, and it's transient. We get
caught up,
involved in this thing, caught up in who we are, right?
And this need to know so much.
Once you have a bit of
true. But then that's where the ego comes in, because it's if you're not careful, it's the mind that wants to know everything. It's the mind that wants to know how it's gonna go. It's the mind that wants to know how it's gonna work out and take control over everything. That's it. So if you can disconnect from the ego, not to say dissolve it, because like you said, we need it. We need our ego, but if we can
embrace it.
Embrace
it as yes.
And then
don't switch it off. Let it become a powerful part of who you are.
That's it.
Work together.
Yeah.
Work together, because we need to.
Yeah, it's the way it's been taught. It's all been taught.
There you go.
To try. This is what it needs to be. It's been programmed that way to fear failure. Right.
So I'm going to go one step. But why has it been taught like that? I know the answer to that. I'm just putting it out there, because, like we know, if we were, but then again, it could be part of the experience, I suppose.
It definitely started with the Industrial Revolution, We before then, pre then, we still had rites of passage. We still had a lot of things where there was communities and family-based stuff. But I think once the Industrial Revolution came around and mass production came in, and people realized they make a shitload of money off people, and they can just make them worker bees and condition, kids to follow orders from going through school. And school hasn't evolved in over 100 years, right? As far as what they teach. And, so it's, I think for me, it's just more the Industrial Revolution has sort of, brought in a lot of the
it created a new pattern.
Yeah. But again, it was meant to happen. This is the thing. It's meant to happen for us to awaken. So
wait, this is exactly what I'm saying, Greg, because the fact is, if we weren't suppressed, because that's what it does to you. It sort of shakes you up to say, what the hell's going on? Sort of thing.
Can I chuck in a couple of other words? We did a lot of work with. I've watched a lot of Russell Brand stuff, and a lot of the stuff that resonated.
He's doing good work.
A lot resonated with Mick, and I have really good chats. I'll be honest with you, and I always throw things at him, and resonates with words like acceptance, self-love, worth, value. Right now, Greg's going to go, I already know what you're going to say, because it was part of the course where you had to find out where you were. Walking into a school now that I've left it, and looking at it and going, I finally worked out you don't work. I'm more worthy than what I am. I'm a very valued person, but I have to have that belief and the self-love. Like you work out that I'm more. You don't value me because I know how valued and how worthy I am. But people just don't know how to express that. But I know I had that revelation when I walked through where I was, and it came down to all the work we'd done and going deep inside. But it came down to a couple of words. Like, would you say that
the big one for you, mate, was attachment? That you were attached to this idea of who you were and how others should be. And I think once you step into a space of, I'll say it again, awareness, but also understanding and forgiveness of others and where they're at, you released a lot of energy.
I did. I did. It's just a case I've read a lot of books on that stuff and listened to a lot of books with acceptance, love, self-love. I don't think people really, they say, I self-love, I've got self-love, but I don't think they really understand it.
Oh, no, mate, you hated yourself. I'll say it. You did not like who you were.
No, I got no. I absolutely, but I didn't know how to love
we spoke about it a lot, Jay.
What's that? Sorry, mate?
I said we spoke about you and your course a lot and what you went through.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. We spoke on many things. I hated myself. That's why, even with the characters that I play, I wanted to be them because I hated myself. I knew this thing, but I didn't know how to get out. And this spiritual awakening.
And that was a big thing. That was one of the big things you said. What was different with this course, the other courses, we showed you how to get out of that.
Oh, absolutely. And it wasn't.
For a lot of places, the theory based. We showed you how to move from there to there. Because I would say the biggest issue.
But also, I had to make a commitment, and this is where the safety thing is. I was willing to do it. Was I really willing to do it back then? Probably not, and not knowing it. But then when you go through your spiritual way, whatever got me to that point, mate. Right, now we're actually going to step forward. But I guess when I actually said it, and I took that first step, and I remember the vision when the wolf was walking with me, and I actually took that first step. I've never done that before, so that's huge. And I think the safety of you guys, what you do, is a safe environment. You're honest, and if you're willing to step up, you can do it, and you will just guide us through, which is absolutely, one of the things that separates you guys from anyone I've been around. Let's be honest.
Well, we wanted you to also express your superpower. I mean, Cortez will know you're just a bundle of energy, mate. And
So that I am.
Showing up as you. well, all that stuff on the wall behind you there. I mean, it was all in there, but expressing it in an honest way and just being super comfortable with who you are. And I mean, the world's just your oyster. And
you have to actually be honest with yourself. I don't think, when you did those, I mean, this is going on the next part of it, where being super honest with yourself, and you know within yourself you're not right, but I guess you didn't know how to, and as I said, it comes down to the education of where you're at, and you take those experiences when you're younger, and you do take them into adulthood because you don't really know, you don't really have the sort of the guidance, I guess, in some ways to know where and what to do, but you're still open to it if you get where I'm going. So that's where it really helped me.
But don't forget, like the bulk of the content of the course. I mean, Greg put that together over years and years and years of experience of working with a multitude of people. And then when we layered all of these probably deeper insights that we'd had in more recent times over it, that's why it works.
No, it's a brilliant. As I said, guys, I mean, you're listening to this podcast now. These guys here. Number one, they know what they're talking about. Number two, they actually give a shit. Okay, and the knowledge that they absolutely love and care for every person that they've got in their course. And obviously, we've become really close friends. Yes, but I will talk them up as terrific and brilliant human beings and loving human beings who actually give a shit about everyone on this planet and want everyone to do their best. And that's pretty much summed you two boys up. It's as simple as that.
That's our big thing. That's our huge thing, is because you can, Mike and I have talked about a number of other coaches, sort of in our genre and the way they work and the what they're after, because you can see them a mile away. A lot of the coaches are just all about making money.
100%.
And they think it's, and I also, like, I used to get really shitty about things. It's like I've years and years, and I'll never get it. I'm still learning and still going through stuff. And Michael now is going through the the human
Gene Keys.
Gene Keys, and what's the other one? It's the human design stuff. That's the book's over there.
Yeah.
So you're doing the human design stuff and the Gene Keys stuff, right? I haven't got time to do that shit, but I'm doing other stuff, right? And I'm doing the stuff, I'm doing my marketing things, right? Because, I want to learn that shit.
I've got some marketing books somewhere here. You can have it.
And, and that stuff there, like, it's we're going to still continue to learn, but the biggest thing and where we come from is that, like, as you said there, Steve, it's all about, we really connect with our people we're helping. I wouldn't call them clients. It's building relationships. Yeah. We don't take everybody. When we opened up that course for you, I think I had like 150 applications for it. We took 8. Yeah,
that's right.
We handpicked it, right?
As I said, very grateful that I mean, I think you're drawn to these things anyway. You're drawn to these things anyway, as far as I'm concerned, because you're open to it. What I want to ask you quickly, I want to throw this out. Cortez and I have had a bit of a chat about energy, especially in this day and age when people's energy has really changed. And I know myself, when you get to a higher awareness or a higher frequency, we can start talking about frequency and vibration. I'll call it straight out. I can see through people's bullshit. Okay? I can see people absolutely full of shit. And but you don't say anything. You just got to go, nah, you got to block out. What's your thoughts on that? Because everyone goes, I can pick up energies and all those kind of things. What's your opinion on that? I'm putting it out there where I go to certain places. We won't mention where I went, okay, or where I was. But yeah, I can see full of shit. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, just nah. What's your opinion on that?
Really you've got to have compassion. That's the thing. You really got to have compassion where people are at, and everyone's journey is their journey. And a lot of people are just going through life taught the way that we were brought up, that this is what leads to success. This is what leads to happiness, and this is what leads to living a fulfilled life. And you sold the line drinking the Kool-Aid, right? So you've got to really have compassion with people, and a lot of people live from fear. And there's a couple of things. Majority of people in the population are people pleasers. Majority of people make decisions based on fear, and a lot of people have self-hate. Right, and that's the majority of the population.
That's fantastic. It's absolutely right. Absolutely.
I'll tell you what.
And so when you're looking at those people and you're saying you're full of shit, you've got to really have compassion for them and say, wonder what their world's like internally inside their head for them to actually say that or be like that or do that, right? Because, you know, you've got to really understand that everyone's world is their world and their background and all that stuff. But why are they being like that? And Michael and I, again, back to the corporate side of things, the biggest, you know, people in the corporate area who are the biggest wankers are the most fearful, the most afraid. They're the alpha males. Alpha males are very, very, very fearful. Very. I
guess where I'm going with that one is I think Michael and I have talked about people disrespecting, I guess, but I put it to a point where I've got this new confidence. We'll put it under confidence. And
okay, so I'm going to pull you up on this, right?
Yeah.
Why are you thinking it's disrespectful?
I guess I know my I know my worth now. I know my worth. I know my worth. I know my value, and I'm just basically thinking, you know.
But why are you labelling it as disrespect?
Yeah, I'm just labelling it like that. Yeah.
You're going to see some live.
That's it, pretty much now.
You're going to see some live coaching here, guys. So everyone listening, this is what happens. This is what happens in a session, right? So why are you labelling it disrespectful?
I guess we go down to the hurt thing.
Step into it, brother.
Down to the ego being hurt. I guess that I'm aware of that. That's where I've come to a point where I was getting, you know, like angry and all that stuff. Not angry anymore, but at the point of the fact where I'm at this stage is okay. I got this new, I guess, confidence. We'll put it that way. But just saying to me, I don't want that negative in my life in that way. And you did disrespect me, and I thought that's one of my values. And I thought, I don't go and say to anyone. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting it out there, but I guess we're trying to separate that again because you don't want to go down that path.
So did they disrespect you, or were you hurt by, because you had very low self-esteem?
I'd say disrespected, not hurt by. I wouldn't say hurt by. You're going to be hurt, yeah, of course. If someone you go about your business and you're indirectly getting hurt for no reason, in my opinion anyway. But that's a different thing. But
you're choosing to be disrespected.
There you go. There's a truth. That's where my problem is. Where I now have a choice. I'm aware of, and the thing is, when I say these things, I'm more aware of it. Where back then, I'd be going, we're going off the friggin' nut. Now,
this is what happened in the course.
Mate.
I'm
gonna go and get my popcorn.
This is what goes off. We're back a bit. Let's just calm you down a bit. Let's just go back around and understand the fact they've used the word disrespect there, it's a pretty high, it's a very low energy word, that they were disrespecting you. In reality, it's you. You're putting the validation on what they're saying, because I bet you I could say exactly the same words as what they say. You will not be disrespected.
That's it.
Very true. It depends on the choice of how you react.
So why are you holding on to that energy? Because it's still with you, right? So you're still saying it now. You're still holding this disrespect energy. So why are you holding on to it?
Why am I holding on to it?
I love this. Can we do this once a week, guys? This is
Why am I holding on to it? I guess it's the relevance of the victim mode that I've been finishing off. Now I know.
That's the attachment.
And this is where it comes in. I know I'm holding on. I go, look, this is a victim mode. We've got to get rid of it. Just let it go, let it flow, and the choice.
Well, you don't have to get rid of it. You don't have to. You just have to
bring awareness to it.
Just awareness.
Sorry, what was that? Sorry.
Just got to bring awareness.
You don't have to get rid of it.
Awareness to it. Yeah. So this
is the big misconception with people. This is the massive thing that people. I've got to get rid of this. No, you don't. Who said you had to get rid of it?
But this is the whole point. To love those thoughts. This is great. This is awesome because I sit here and we were actually taught this on how to actually work with this at a young, even at mid-20s or whatever it may be. How much better would the world be? I sit here and look and I go, absolutely fantastic. What I've learned something in 3 seconds, even though, you sit there and you're in a space where you can not even curb your ego or something. You're listening to what this.
So these are what we call practically spiritual conversations. This
exactly.
is where you're stepping into your authentic self, your truth.
This is where we tell this is also where we tell you to get out of your head, right? Because right now you're in your head.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've done that a lot of times.
Trying to process it. You're in your head, mate. So you need to slow down and calm down, take a breath, and really just contemplate the fact that you're still holding this energy about disrespect. You're still, because you're talking about it, you're still holding energy energetically, right? So maybe we need a little bit of work on that part, is because you're still holding some aspect of that they did this to you. Remember?
Yes, absolutely.
We don't live in the world of life circumstances happen to us. We live in the world of reality of what we think, and that's ripped off from that's, guys, I didn't make that up, right? It's a 3 principles idea. If you Google 3 principles, it's by a guy named Sydney Banks and Michael Neal.
Yep.
Not Michael McNair, Michael Neal. If you read some of these quotes he does, it came from Sydney Banks, which said that we don't live in the circumstances of our experiences, we live in the circumstances of our thoughts. And so actually that in itself, and another quote by a really, really great coach called Steve Hardison, it's all about who you're being. Coaching is that is it. Coaching at its simplest terms, you live in the experience of your thoughts, and who are you being? That's it.
I think
everything else is just stuff.
One word that you said was compassion, and that is such a key word, because that is how I've forgiven everyone that has ever done anything harm towards me or said bad things towards me. Because once you realize that they are where they are, and to show compassion, and to be able to actually genuinely give someone the space to be how they are being without judging them, it enables you to not hold or harness any of that bad energy within yourself. So you then get to the point where you're just like, do you know what, they are where they are, and obviously there's something inside of them that is making them fearful, or that's making them be or react this certain way. It's not personal. It's not personal. And then once you realize that it's not personal, that's when I think the forgiveness started for me. So it's that compassion is such a key word, because everyone is where they are, and you don't know what's just happened to them. They might have just lost their mom or dad or whatever, and then they are verbally abusing you, which in hindsight they're scared, or there's something more that's going on inside.
And what the real underpinning of what we do, the Michael and I do, is we give you freedom. We give you freedom from a lot of things, and we give you freedom in life, and that's the biggest gift. And also, Cortez, you don't know that every single person there has done their job, because you're here exactly right here, right now, with us, having the experience that you are because of these people, what they did to you.
I know.
You got to get out of your head. That's the most.
Would you be the man you are today without those experiences?
Not at all.
No,
not at all.
Yeah. That's because a powerful lesson.
It allows you to be, if you want to be patient with someone, then you need someone that's fucking annoying in your ears that you need to be patient with. You know what I mean? And if you want to love someone unconditionally, then you need an arsehole in your life that fucked with you, that you have to practice loving them unconditionally. Do you know what I mean?
That's the polarity.
Those are like my lessons in life that have molded me into this person now, which
if you need boundaries,
what is back sort of thing.
They give you the best lessons. You get somebody sorry, mate. Sorry. Just saying, they give you the greatest. It's the greatest lessons are from these people. And that's the way it is. You know, you got to take it that way, and then be pulled up.
There's also but here's the complexity with life as well too, is that you can go too far the other way and just, this person's done this. And sometimes you gotta go, no, I'm in control of this now, and here's my boundaries, and this is what happens in my life. And if you do this to me, you're out, right? This is what we were saying before, we're cutting the negativity away, or the people who don't serve you. is that when you step into this place, you start to realize that I'm in control of everything, and I create my life. So part of our program is that, we really create this freedom inside of you, but you unlock the power to be this co-creator in your life. So life no longer happens to you, you start creating things in your life. And then you start going with all those people, you go, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off.
That's it, that's got him. Hey, we're going to wind this up very quickly, but Mick, have you got any last words about the spirituality side of things? And we have lots of chats, and as I said, honoured to have you as a mentor. I'm still growing every day. It's fantastic, and making accountable by you guys.
We work off each other. Yeah,
absolutely.
Look, I mean, we've said it a few times through this. I think what Cortez referred to before, they're probably the biggest messages anyone can take away. Compassion, which leads to forgiveness. Once you go down that path, you create a lot of space for amazing new energy to enter your life. Greg referred to it a few times. We create the meaning. So when you come to a realization or understanding that you're the one creating the meaning in your life, that gives you a perception of things in a new way. So you can start to work on your own mission and purpose from there, knowing that it's not something that, it kind of doesn't matter if it was predetermined or not. You can live in the experience, which is right here, right now. So be present. And I think we said it right at the start. The biggest thing is we bring the light to the darkness. We are the light. So bring light into your life. Bring light into other people's lives, and you'll enjoy it so much more.
Fantastic. Well, we'll call this one a day. But if we can get you back in about 4 or 5 months, if that's okay, guys, you'll get this video.
Love to,
mate. What can I say? Two wonderful individuals.
Grateful. Thank you, guys. Really grateful.
No, thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for me. I've given me a chance, not a chance, well, give me a chance to be me, being on Batman and Robin's back cave videos. You know how it is. And
it's amazing to meet
guys,
you too.
5 Dimensions, get on it. Greg Riley, Michael McNair,
100%.
two of Australia's greatest individuals, in my opinion, and they should be prime ministers, and that's the way it is. If they want to have a job.
Happy with that job.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much, guys.
We appreciate it, guys.
As I said, very grateful. Namaste. Best wishes 100%. For New Year. And I'll stop the recording in a minute, but thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.